Hey, I'm Mark.
And I'm Craig.
And this is Songwriter's Tales.
And our voices are getting lower.
Yeah, baby. This is FM radio
Let's
voice.
go.
Yeah. This is Songwriter's Tales. And this is an artist spotlight series with the incredible Celeste Marie Wilson.
Woo!
Craig?
Texas girl. Texas girl.
Man. Texas. What is it about you?
It just grows. It just grows. Before we go any further, we want you to like, subscribe, comment, and share because this episode is worth all of that and more.
This girl is 200% worth a listen.
Yeah,
she
baby.
has got such a cool vibe. She's a kid, man. She's a kid, but she's a kid with an old soul.
Oh, my gosh. What do you say, Mark?
I say, let's do it. Hey, I'm Mark. We are back on Songwriter's Tales, and we are here with the lovely Celeste. All right, now I screwed up.
Start over again, Mark.
Ho, 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 ho. Celeste Marie. Celeste.
Arrest Marie.
God. Hey, it's Mark. We are back on Songwriter's Tales, and we are joined for another artist spotlight with, as I always say, they're my favorite. Craig knows that. We are joined by Celeste Marie Wilson, a lovely singer-songwriter from South Texas. We love us some Texas singers. There's just something about Texas, Craig. I don't know what it is.
Sure. It's in the water. It's in the dirt. It's in the sky. It's everywhere. Hey, Celeste, thank you for being here. We're excited about this. And talking to our audience right now, we had a little pre-show chat, so we know a lot about Celeste. We've known about her for quite a while because she's been scheduled to be on our show here for a while. In fact, Scott Sexton, another one of our favorite all-time people out of Nashville, does all of her publicity. He's her publicist, so we're grateful to him. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about a lot of things. You've got a new release. You've got one that you've had for a while. You've got something coming up, so why don't you just start off giving us a little background about yourself and how you got into the music scene, and just tell us about you so we can let everybody know.
Absolutely. I'm Celeste Marie Wilson. I started music professionally about 4 years ago. I grew up playing piano, musical theater. I was in a cover band in high school where we played at bars, and I think we did. This is an embarrassing story. There was one month where we decided to do all ZZ Top songs, but I was the one singing.
Nice.
My voice was higher than it is now, so I was really having to.
I want to hear LaGrange. I want to hear you do LaGrange.
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit of that ZZ Top growl. Yeah, man.
It was not good when I did it, but it was an important stepping stone in my musical journey. I'm getting to do that and practice being in front of a crowd, and it lets you explore new music. And I play clarinet, did handbell choir at church, just a lot of music in my background. And then I grew up riding horses. I've been riding since before I could walk. Like, my mom literally put me in the saddle and hold my leg on there. Like, she was like, "You're gonna do this."
Nice.
And I love to write. And so the songwriting became very natural. You know, I'd already spent all this time singing and playing piano, and then I picked up guitar when I started doing it professionally, and I just kind of fell in love with it.
That is so cool. So I'm going to read a quote right off of your website. The soul of Dolly Parton in the fire of Janis Joplin, found somewhere on a South Texas back road. That is, number one, that's a really cool description. Like, whoever wrote that, good on you.
That'd be great for a song right there. But hey, that would be some great lines for a song.
I was going to say, man, those are almost song lyrics. So maybe you and your mom need to write that song. But you know, so you gave us a little bit of a window, you know, singing ZZ Top. I'm still having a hard time picturing that, but who did you grow up listening to? Who, when you were a young and you were listening to music, who lit your fire? I mean, who, we all have heroes. We all have, and songwriting may be totally different from singers, but I just kind of know, what were you listening to that got you thinking, gosh, I want to write this.
Well, when I was really little, I listened to everything. I had my little iPod, the little pink ones, like from the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
And I had Taylor Swift on there. Of course, I had Hannah Montana on there, the normal things for a girl that age.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also had like a lot of Pink Floyd on there and AC/DC. I don't know where that came from. I was really into Jimmy Buffett. I still love Jimmy Buffett. I was really into I was really into Leonard Skinner. Anything that was Southern rock or like a little explorative really kind of has always piqued my interest. And then kind of as I grew up, I expanded a bit more into some of the country genres and listening to that as well. It really is a mix of everything. Like there is no genre that I don't like.
That's awesome. Mark and I were talking about the song that we're going to get into in a little bit, about the song that you wrote about your grandparents.
Great-grandparents.
Great-grandparents. And one of the things that stuck out with us, because Mark and I are big time appreciators of storytelling songs. Mark and I started going out to Nashville in the 90s, back when Garth was the big deal. And, there was a lot of songs then that were story songs. They just, within 3 minutes, you felt like you'd been through a cinematic event, like a whole movie. And of course, Mark and I, we have the Harry Chapin and the Jim Croce's and the, Gordon Lightfoot.
Bob Seger,
the storytelling rockers, and that's kind of what we grew up on. But do you want to talk about that song now? Should we get into that?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So you start. I messed it up and said your grandparents, and
that's okay. No, but so this is your new single. Is that correct?
It is.
All right. Well, tell us about Marie.
Well, so it actually kind of is a funny and complicated story. When I started doing music, I started in alternative rock. And I don't look like an alt rocker, but it was kind of the closest thing I could label it, because I was really Southern rock. And rock is so exciting. I love it. I think there's so much you can do with it. But I was kind of coming to this point where I really needed to hard decide a genre. And I was kind of shifting around a million. I just needed to. And I was sitting with my mom one day, and she's like, well, I don't know. I think the way you write's really country. You always write all these stories. And that reminds me a lot of country music, like country Americana. And I said, Mom, I can't do country. She's like, why can't you do country? It's like, I just can't. I can't do it. And she's like, what, do you think they're hokey or something? I was like, no, I don't think they're hokey. And I was like, I can't do it because I just care too much about that genre. And she was like, well, that's it. That's the one you need to do. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you care that much about it, that it makes you nervous to do that, that is the song, that is the way you should be writing. And I was like, okay.
Great advice.
And I was sitting there and I knew the first thing I wanted to write. I wanted to write, if I was going to move into this country Americana space, I really wanted to write a song about what country music was to me. And to me, country music is kind of my family and where I'm from. And it's kind of how we pass down these generational stories. And so I sat there and I started going through the whole list in my head, every generational story you hear at Thanksgiving from your grandma and your grandpa and your aunt, your uncle, all these things. And I landed on Marie because Jessie Marie, my great grandmother, was actually also a writer and a songwriter. And
cool.
And I was named after her, and I thought it was really kind of neat that we ended up doing these things together, almost in a way like it was a very similar path. And I was like, I just needed to write their love story. It just kind of hit me all at once. And I started to write it because I was like, it just is so, it doesn't even sound real when you're telling the story that she's supposed to marry this rich boy, but meets this poor boy who's dropped out of high school and is a hot mess, but a good man, and falls so madly in love with him that she's like, I can't marry this other man. I'm going to marry him. and that he goes and joins the rodeo so he can make enough money so he can buy her the nicest ring he can find. I mean, that's
That's a song.
That's a song.
That's
and
a
then
country
he
song, baby.
makes it. He comes back to Comanche and they run off and get married in secret. I'm like, that's a song. I was like, that's like
Yes,
the
it
kind of love
is.
that people don't find every day.
That's right.
Well, when I hear you talk about that, one of my favorite songwriters, and he's still out there today, he was an artist in the 90s, and he's still an artist, but he made his inroads as a writer. There's a guy named Skip Ewing, and he wrote Love Me for Colin Ray, which is very much kind of like the love song you're talking about. And there's just nothing better to me than story told in a 3-minute movie. And I love the idea behind the song. I love the lyrics. I was reading the lyrics before we jumped on here, and I think that there's not enough of people out there like you still doing that. I mean, and I tell Craig every time I turn on the radio, I keep thinking, please let the story songs come back. Because, there's only so much bro country I can listen to, and I'm not knocking anybody, but man, we need to get back to these beautiful 3-minute love songs and people growing up and telling the real thing. So I commend you for that. So is it out already or is it about to come out?
It is out already.
Cool. And you can get that on every streaming platform?
Every streaming platform.
That is awesome. Where'd you cut it?
I actually cut it in Nashville, Tennessee with Jim Riley. It was actually like a lot of songs are not made in those fancy studios anymore. A lot of times you're just in like somebody's basement.
Once Billie Eilish won a Grammy out of her, recording a record out of her bedroom, people said, okay, well, I guess we can do that. So
absolutely. Although it was funny because I brought my boyfriend with me to Tennessee, and I was like, and today we're going to go into some man's basement that we don't know. So I hope you're excited.
It's good that you brought your boyfriend. Not that I don't know the guy. I'm sure he's a great guy, but it's smart that you brought your boyfriend.
Yeah, I tell my mom, I always bring my mom, my boyfriend, or my dog. One of those
three.
And although I don't think my dog would be like the best protection dog because he will sell out for like a head pat or like cheese, like I don't know. Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
He's an Aussie, so he doesn't know about like
protection. He's just more all about I'm all about the biscuits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So when you did the recording, did you say it was Jim Riley? Is that what you said?
Yes, Jim Riley.
Okay. On the instrumentation, how did that take place? Did he do all the instrumentation or?
We actually had a whole band come in, and I did the whole record in 2 days. So it's a very old school how we did it. It wasn't the normal. Do like one instrument at a time. It was like, we're going to get in there, we're going to get all together, and we're going to record as a band.
Sure.
And we're just going to hit song after song after song until the record's done, which is the way I prefer to do it because it
sounds great. I mean, it has a really organic feel and sound to it, which you don't get a lot now. That's the downside of recording in your bedroom. It's pretty hard to bring an entire band into your bedroom, but
I'll say the whole band was squished in that basement.
That's okay, but it sounds great, and it has a really good organic feel to it, which
thank you.
I was kind of thinking it sounded like a live band.
Yeah, we have the whole band there, and I was playing the rhythm guitar with the mic, and I did overdub the vocals after because,
sure.
when you're sitting down, and then, I mean, it happened so fast. I mean, my boyfriend left to get me lunch, and he came back. And we had like 6 songs done.
Unbelievable. Now she's not that is phenomenal. I mean, that's going to take you a long way in this business to be that precise in what you do and everything. I don't know. You probably do. I'm a songwriter and I'm also a performer. And when I write a song, I take it out and I play it every time I play somewhere. I just slip it in there, and I don't tell anybody, who wrote it. I just do it just to make it work and just to kind of work it out and everything. And that sounds like what you've done as well, playing live and getting it worked out. Is that what you do? Do you work on that?
That is what I do. I play live a lot, and I almost always have a lot of originals in my shows. If not, in Texas, a lot of times my shows are all originals and ticketed and stuff. And so that gives me the opportunity to play as many as I want, which is nice. Honky tonks aren't the same story. And it lets me see how the audience feels about it. And really like get the song exactly where I want it to be. And then, it also lets me decide if I like that song. If I don't want to play it every day, then I'm probably not going to cut it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when you write something, when you're sitting there writing something and the inspiration comes and you wrestle with it, and then I've done the same thing. You play it and you go, doesn't just have the sparkle that it did when I first wrote it,
Well, and I've heard artists say, you better love everything you sing, because the one that you don't like will be the one that's the massive hit that you end up having to sing for the next 40 years that you can't stand.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's very true. My mom is always like, all your songs are so happy, because I have a lot of upbeat songs. I don't think I have like any breakup songs on this record. Like I have one song making fun of a guy in a bar, but I haven't dated a lot of people, but and so there aren't really any like sad songs on there. I'm like, well, I don't want to sing sad songs for 2.5 hours every night.
Right.
And it brings us to a point on this, and Mark and I are old enough now to have seen it cycle in, cycle out several times in our lives. And it seems like we're in this cycle now especially with female country artists. It's all about boy bashing and just running them down the road. And I guess there's a market for that, clearly, but it's refreshing to have happy material out there, just because the world is kind of heavy anyway. So, up tempo or just feel good tunes are just so important, I think, for the psyche of, people out there in the world now. So thank you for that. A big thank you from Mark and me for doing that. We appreciate that. I'm looking at your schedule. I see you're going to be in Nashville in September 15th. Am I reading that right?
I am. I'm going up to Nashville to cut my second record, and then also I'm performing at Americana Fest.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about your second record coming out. Let's talk about that. I believe you said it was, what's it called? Southern
American Princess, and that's my first full-length record coming out.
Well, that was your first one. Boy, I'm not getting anything right today.
You're okay. Nobody's testing you.
Yeah.
There might be a pop quiz by Mark after this.
Yeah, I'm going to test him, and I'm going to tell him just how bad he did. No, but so you're releasing Southern American Princess in September, then you're also going to be in Nashville cutting your second record in September. So
thank you. I got it.
No, I wasn't doing that for you, Craig.
No, I know, but I'm glad I know.
What I was going to say is, so do you have the songs? I'm assuming you have a good chunk of the songs written for the new record.
I do.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have one that you just cannot wait to get recorded?
There's one song that I just wrote not too long ago called Lost Traditions. And I'm really excited to cut that one because it's really upbeat. It's almost like somewhere between Kenny Chesney and Paul Simon, if that makes any sense. Like it's just got that like feel good, fun, acoustic groove.
Love it.
And I'm just thrilled to record that one.
Well, I can't wait to hear that one.
As a songwriter, do you solo write? Do you co-write?
Both.
Okay.
It always kind of depends with me. I mean, I love co-writing, but I also totally recognize that some people see me and they're like, that is a little 22-year-old blonde girl, and I'm like an old man. I don't want to write with her. And that's okay too. But when I get co-writes, I'm always so thrilled to have them. I actually co-wrote with Brian Mayer on one of the songs on this album, which was like a big dream co-write because he wrote on Taylor Swift's debut album, which was like a album that I just grew up loving and listening to all the time. I think he wrote the Oh My song. I can't remember the exact title, but I think that's the one he wrote on. So he wrote on the song with me. I got a writing session with him, and that was a great co-write. We clicked super well. I always click the best with the artists that are so passionate about their work that they're just just excited to be there. And I'm like, yes, I get this feeling.
That's nice. That's nice.
Like,
Not the jaded ones who just kind of walk in and go, okay, what are we going to write about today? Yeah, those are tough co-writes. We've all done those.
Oh, I've been to some of those, and I'm like, oh, I don't know now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you're doing, after describing your life and the way that you think and what brought you to where you are, you fall into that old soul category, and that's what music was way back when. Is writers were writing from their heart. They were writing from experiences, whether it was good or bad or not sure what it was, they were still writing about it, questioning things, even questioning life. But it was real. So there's that side of songwriting. Mark and I have been writing together for 30 years, Celeste. We started writing together literally over 30 years ago.
Wow.
And so, we've seen it all, and we've grown as songwriters, and we've learned to co-write together, and we co-write with a whole lot of different people, both of us. But the whole point is there's that kind of songwriting, which is where you come from the heart, from the soul. And then there's the songwriting that is just a business. You're just trying to get that cut. You're trying to get that hit. You're trying to get that radio, even if radio might not even be around much longer, but you're trying to get that, that hit. And it doesn't matter whether the song's real or anything. It's just got to follow that formula that you just kind of jump on the tail end or the coattails of everything that's working now, And we're glad you're doing it. I'm happy that she's doing that, Mark.
Well,
awesome.
It gives me hope, Craig, because everybody, and you can't blame anybody for chasing, a cut.
Right.
Especially if you're a staff writer in Nashville.
Yeah, not knocking it.
My kudos to you folks, because you're sitting in there 5 days a week churning out songs, and I could not do that. There's no way I couldn't do that with a gun to my head. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it's refreshing when an artist comes along that says, this is my lane, or I'm not sure what my lane is yet. Maybe, Celeste, maybe your lane is yet to be determined, because you have such an eclectic mix of things that you like to listen to.
Yeah.
And, to me, that's a plus. That's never a negative, because, I grew up listening to rock and roll. I didn't listen to country. But then I realized that I was listening to the Eagles and I was listening to Bob Seger. And, then by the time I started writing in the 90s with Craig, that was country music. I mean, it was the storytelling. And I think that, like I said, I'm on a mission to bring that back. And it tickles me that you're writing about real stuff. And you're also, there's nothing wrong with the sad songs. Sad songs sell. They always say in Nashville, sad songs sell.
And they heal. Yep.
But there's something to be said for pumping people up and making them feel good, or just getting in that pocket and that groove. And, you said Paul Simon. It's like, girl, you're listening to the absolute best. If you're listening to Paul Simon and, you're getting your university degree in songwriting listening to those people, and I commend you.
I want to interject something back to what Bart Urbison said. Bart Urbison is the executive director of the Nashville Songwriters Association in Nashville. And we just had him on our show, Celeste. And one of the things he said, he just came out with this. He said, one of the recommendations I would say to any young writer is know the history. Go back and listen to Alabama. Go back and listen to all the old bands that came before you, so you have an understanding, and it will expand your horizons, and it will give you a foundation of your songwriting and where you're going with it. He said so many, it's just, I don't remember what he said. I don't think he said it was shallow, but he basically alluded to the fact that your songwriting is going to be really hogtied if you're not understanding where it came from. Like all the great players listen to the blues. Eric Clapton, Pink Floyd, those guys grew up on the old blues, the black blues and the rockabilly stuff even, and that's what they grew up listening to. And so you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do actually is like last summer, I was listening to Pink Floyd and then I was looking up who inspired Pink Floyd. And one of their biggest inspirations was a band named The Band. And so then I
Yep.
went and listened to all of their tracks, went and bought all their CDs, and I actually played a lot of the band's stuff live. And then I fell in love with Atlantic City, their cover of Bruce Springsteen's
Love it.
song, which made me fall back in love with Bruce Springsteen and go listen to that. The acoustic album he had recorded.
Nebraska. Yeah, Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska, and learn all this history on how he recorded it on his own. I was like, that's so cool because that's what we do today. You know, a lot of people do that when they're starting out.
Well,
Didn't he use a little 4-track or something?
He did.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. But you know, you are, as Craig said earlier, you're an old soul. You're wise well beyond your years because not a lot of people do that. And again, if you're listening to Paul Simon and The Band and, you know, you're listening to Nebraska from Bruce Springsteen, I mean, these are how the great songs are written. And because it goes back to writing what you know. I mean, these people wrote songs about what they know, and that's what you're doing. And I commend you for it. I super excited for you because I think that, you know, hopefully we'll get a chance to run across you somewhere, and I'd love to catch you live because you obviously, you know, you may be 22, but you don't seem like you're 22 when you're talking about writing and performing, which is really cool.
Well, Mark, September 15th through the 19th at City Winery.
Yeah.
So we need to make a trip, and we'll take care of business while we're out there, and we'll just do it. I want to thank your mama. That's what I want to, because what you've told us about her.
Oh, she's amazing. She's my momager. I was a year into doing this, and I said, Mom, I need a manager. And she was like, okay, well, we can look for one. I was like, no, I want you to be my manager, please.
I love it. Well, you know she ain't gonna rip you off.
Well, and nobody's going to protect you like Mama protects you too.
Woo,
No,
man.
nobody's going to.
Yeah.
I knew that she was the perfect fit because it's like, you know, I mean, I get to travel all around Texas with her and sometimes all the way up to Nashville and have her in the recording studios and take her to these award shows and stuff. And it's like, I wouldn't want somebody I don't know. You know, it's like, I'm so happy it's her. I mean, she owned her own business when she was my age, selling computer chips and ran it all by herself. She's just one of the smartest women I know. And I'm like, now it's got to be you, Mom.
Well,
absolutely.
I'll tell you what, and we talked about this pre-show. You were homeschooled up to a certain point, and I'm a real fan of that. And, you know, there's a lot to that. And the beauty of that is you were one-on-one with Mom for a long time, and she put what was in her directly into you. And man, it's showing. It's showing. You've got the whole package. That's great. Well, I don't know what else we can talk about unless you've got something, Mark.
Well, I was going to ask, are you going to send in a song for us, or are we going to do that maybe next time?
I could send in a verse and chorus of Marie if you'd like me to.
Would love to.
We'll tag it on the end of this podcast with all of your connections. You bet. We'd love it.
We would love that. And I want to echo what Craig said. Your mom had done good. You are such a bright star, and you can see why these are Craig and my favorite parts that we get to do, because there's nothing more exciting to me than seeing someone your age with your head on straight going after what you're going after. And I wish you nothing but blessings and you know, smooth roads. They won't always be smooth, but I think you've got the gumption and you got the mama behind you that it don't matter if they're smooth or not. I think you'll be fine.
That's awesome. Well, we're gonna let our audience go, and we're gonna say goodbye to them, but we're gonna stay on for a few minutes and just have a post-show. We have a pre-show and a post-show chat for those of you that are trying to figure out how we do this. But anyway, so we're all gonna say goodbye to you, and thanks for visiting our Songwriters Tales with Mark.
Thank you so much.
She wished on moonlit daisies. He
learned to bronco bus. He knew he wanted her, just didn't have much. He worked a 9 to 5, 5 to 9 kind of shift. Rode the circuit just so she would look at him. He never saw it coming when she asked to dance. He knew he'd marry her, just didn't have a plan. It was a wait-and-see wedding ring fantasy. All he needed was a little bit of prize money. He said, Marie, will you wait for me at your father's place in Comanche? My missing rim unwound his string. You will love a boy like me.
Hey, this is Mark and Craig with Songwriter's Tales, and we need you to like,
Subscribe
comment,
and share.
See you soon, folks.
See ya. Let's do it.